Hola, hola. Bienvenidos a Esperanza Vence, donde la esperanza vence. Welcome to Esperanza Vence, where hope wins. Today we're pulling in the energies of this upcoming full moon in Taurus, which also happens to be a lunar eclipse. That's going to be visible, I believe, in Asia, parts of Africa. I think a little bit of Australia, you can see it, Polynesia, and like a smidge of South America, I think, like Brazil, maybe French Guiana. But where I live, I don't think we're going to be able to see it. If you want to, you can go to timeanddate.com, and it has like the time and the path of the eclipse, and you can see if it's visible from where you are. Taurus energy is an energy of stability. It's represented by the bull. Cattle are very strong and dependable, and they represent like our civilized side, our Venus ruled qualities. What do we do for love and money, safety, security? And if we do have enough safety and security, we can even indulge in some luxury too, and some luxurious rest, you know? Opposing that energy, because whenever there's a full moon, there's like an opposition, right? I think of the astrology chart as like a pie with 12 different slices, so there's going to be polarities. So with this full moon highlighting a culmination or a cumulative event, a fruition event in the Taurus ruled energy of our astrology chart, or in a collective sense, Taurus energy. When we have a full moon there, that full moon is illuminating culminations, endings, fruition, coming to terms, reaching an apex in a situation that would involve our security, maybe our finance, maybe our home life, anything that brings creature comforts and a sense of safety. And the polarity to that Taurus energy, which is where the sun is shining right now, like the action, the ego, the active conscious mind, where this is going is in Scorpio direction. Scorpio energy is ruled by the scorpion, right? So that's an animal that waits in the shadows and strikes when necessary. It strikes when it needs to eat. Okay? It's just not like willy-nilly, you know? Scorpio energy is about feeling deeply, getting to the root cause of situations, having a deeper understanding of your own depth of being, but also, you know, sort of being a little bit more investigative towards others too, maybe being a little bit more guarded, maybe being a little bit more cutthroat when it comes to things like truth and what we really believe deeply. Like how deep do we really believe in such and such, you know what I mean? And so with this lunar eclipse, you know, there's going to be a lot of fruit, a lot of sweet fruit to be picked. Okay, however, there might be a lot of processing to do. You know, just because you pick the fruit when it's ripe, or just because like things come to the culmination, it might not feel good on the way there, and you might not realize that you even have fruit for a while. You know, it might be a raisin by the time you realize that, you know, that you had ripe fruit. Let's see what the cards have to say about this. Full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, 28th of October, this upcoming Saturday. Oh yeah, Mercury and Mars are going to be making aspects to this moon. And Mars is a sign of sort of quick action, quick aggression, and Mercury deals with like how we speak. So this week there might be an energy collectively or on an individual level of people speaking more harshly than usual, like in unexpected ways. You might not expect it out of this person. It's probably a good week to, you know, with the Scorpio energy, we could actively dig deep, we could actively think deeply, we could actively feel deeply. With this Mars energy, we might feel reactive. And with the Mercury energy, we might just really want to say something about it. But there's a lot of power in surrendering to outcomes. Actually, there's a lot of power in just not exerting power, because as much as we can stay in our lane and just direct that Mars energy towards exercise or good love, you know, if you're fortunate enough to have a partner that's down, you know, get some this week. I think it's a good week to, you know, be between the sheets, make love not war type stuff. I think that's a great way of using this energy, this active energy. And then you could talk sexy too, right? Because Mercury and Mars are together, and then we have this sexy Scorpio energy. You know, that's a really positive way to turn this energy into something creative and something that could be actively useful for us, you know. So yeah, get some if you can, and definitely talk, you know, talk to your lover, you know, whisper something to them, or maybe like raise your voice a little bit, because with that active aggressive Mars, you know, you could have like kind of these fun arguments that end with the makeup sex and stuff like that. So I think that would be a good way to focus this energy. Instead of popping off, you know, start peeking it, you know, as much as we can. So, all right, full moon, lunar eclipse, Halloween weekend, all the spooky, sexy things that are going on. What's the energy that we're going to pull in for this 10 card Celtic? Oh, what's that? 10 of Pentacles. I love this card. This is a great marriage card. It's actually my favorite card for marriage. It's a card of two people. Each person's bringing their own 5 Pentacles, and 5 Pentacles is a card of hardship. You know what I'm saying? So these people have gone through it, and now they're going to go through it together. You know? So this will be presiding over our full reading, okay? Who are we? What's crossing us? What's in the near past? Near future? Conscious awareness? Subconscious awareness? How do we see ourselves? How do others see us? What's our hopes and fears? And what's the likely outcome? I wish I could flip the camera while I'm recording, but this thing won't like let me do it. Who are we? Full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. 10 of Wands. We might be, you know, carrying a bit of a heavy burden. we could be closing in on the finish line, but there's obviously still a few steps before we get to that culmination, and that culmination was hard earned, and it's heavy for this person. They might have to set a couple things down and come back. But this is somebody that's got a lot going on and they're feeling it. They're carrying a heavy load right now. Seems about right. What's crossing us? What's the challenge during this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus? 5 degrees of Taurus, by the way. So if you look at your astrology chart, go to astro.com and type in like your birthplace, the location, and it'll pull up a chart for you under extended chart selection, and you can determine where Taurus falls in your chart in that circle. Judgment is our challenge. I love this Judgment card because it's like a happy family rises above it all, you know? When the trumpet, or rather in this case, when the French horn is blown on Judgment Day by Archangel Gabriel, you know, the good rises from the ashes. Okay, the phoenix, the fire energy, you know, that phoenix rising from the ashes energy, that's kind of the energy after like going deep in Scorpio season. The phoenix will rise again, you know, after we go deep and dark into the crevices, clean things out, learn a little bit more. You know how it is when you start cleaning, you realize that you got to clean more and more and more. Once you open up that one drawer and start rooting around, then the next thing you know, there's another and another. And after all that is gone through, at the end, you know, we can rise victorious together, right? But as a challenge, you know, judgment, honest to goodness, it's very literal, very basic. Like as a challenge during this full moon lunar eclipse, we could honestly be dealing with judgment from other people. Other people could be judging us. Other people could be judging our choices, our behavior, our patterns. They could be judging what we look like, how we speak. We could be judging others. You know, we could be feeling judged by coworkers, friend groups. I mean, maybe we'll gain more clarity on who might be doing the judging as we go through this story. So we're carrying a heavy burden and we're feeling judged by others. In our conscious awareness, we have the 10 of Cups energy, which I love. You know, we might be thinking about the rainbow at the end of the rain. You know, this is an emotional fulfillment card, another 10 card. So we're reaching culmination energy. You know, the cards are showing us that culmination energy, that completion energy that comes with a full moon, when you reach the apex, when you get the fruit of your labor. So these two in this card, it's usually shown as a family dancing together. So it's interesting that in the Judgment card we actually see a family here. And in the 10 of Cups, we see the two lovers joining on one cup. Okay, so the two lovers share one cup and have combined their emotional efforts to reach this emotional fulfillment, you know? Each brings 5 cups to the table. So they've already gone through their sorrows and now they're ready to weather these storms together and be able to see the rainbow, you know, when the sun comes out. I love the 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is the happily ever after card. That's a card of beautiful love. That's a beautiful love couple. That's a great marriage card. Subconscious awareness, what's sort of propping up this story, or what's some emotional patterning or conditioning that could be leading to our behavior during this full moon? 5 of Pentacles. This is also a soulmate card, but it's a card of like 2 people being left out in the cold. They both feel left out. They both feel left out in the cold. There could be a deep physical injury. There could be financial injury. There could be, people could be a little, just having to work really hard to just maintain, and they might have a hard time seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. The subconscious conditioning could be just like poverty consciousness too. Just that having a hard time getting out of that loop of like expecting the worst. Sometimes, depending on how you grew up or how you process reality, even if you did grow up with all your needs being met, depending on your constitution and how you interact with life as a conversation, as a conversationalist, you may still find that you have like a kind of a poverty consciousness where you expect and generally get worse than you may have if you could have had other expectations. So this is a card that encourages us to, in a very real sense, in a very physical, earthy sense, to make, active approaches in regards to our ability to sustain self-care. This is a codependency card too, where, this person's so injured and this person stays behind instead of like going into the warmth, asking for help. These two are left out in the cold, and, they're one's kind of clinging to the other. The weather's not so great out there. This is kind of one of those where like, you got to make sure that your stuff is handled before you start coddling and caring for others on that level so hardcore, And then your past, 8 of Cups reversed. So since this moon and the last moon, which was a solar eclipse in Libra, we might have been dealing with a situation where it was like really hard to walk away from a painful situation. With the 8 of Cups upright, we have a person who is able to follow their own intuition and go by the light of the moon and understand what they're not going to do anymore, or what they're not going to tolerate from themselves or others emotionally anymore. But in this situation, we may have recently had a really hard time seeing that there was a bad situation to even walk away from, or there might have been a cyclical challenge of like some things might have still had been worked out between that energetic contract that we had with whatever situation, with the job, with the person, with ourselves, with our own finances, with our home life. There might have been, for whatever reason, an inability to stop cycles and stop patterns without just cutting everything off entirely, even in some cases. In the near future, we have death, Scorpio energy, 100%. So anything that is done now is done for good. Like anything that ends during this full moon, it's done. If your relationships or your finances, if you're teetering on making choices as far as moving in one direction or the next, like once you go, that's it. Like the other thing's gonna cut right off, and that's gonna be done for good. So that can be wonderfully cleansing, especially when it comes to like issues of metaphorically or otherwise gangrene or things like that. You gotta let stuff die, you gotta let stuff go. However, again, with that Mars and Mercury together, the energy right now, especially the energy since October 10th or so through the end of this month and into November, into the first week of November, the energy has been so chaotic and so volatile that there's a tendency to make really a lot of decisions from reactive anger, from a space of reactive anger, you know what I mean? And I gotta say, in my life, I've noticed that the best decisions that I ever make are from a place of peace. And it's not like I attain a place of peace, you know, that often, but as much as I can, you know, not be at like 100 when I'm trying to have conversations or make choices about my life, especially in terms of like how it involves other people. But anyway, whatever you decide to keep in your life will stick around, and whatever goes is gone for good. How do we see ourselves this full moon? Three of Wands. Three of Wands is fire energy. That's the energy of knowing that you did your best. You put yourself out there and something's going to come of it. But you're not sure if something good's going to come of it. Something that you want is going to come of it. You're not sure if your ships are actually coming in. And when they do come in, what will they be carrying? But this is you reaching out to the wider world as yourself with your creative projects, and you knowing that you're doing the best you can to relay and create a space for your creative projects in the wider world. This is how we see ourselves right now, looking out onto the horizon. What's our environment? How do other people see us? Five of Swords reversed. Five of Swords upright is going to be a card where this character has won the battle, but they like did not win the war. This is a person that like these other people are walking away. They just don't want to play with them anymore because they don't care. They don't care if it's right or wrong. They just don't want to play this. Like this person feels like they won. Like does anybody ever really win an argument? You know what I mean? I think if you want to be right or wrong, like play Jeopardy. You know? I just feel like arguments are just, and I like to argue. I really like to argue. I love arguing. I have a Gemini nature, and it's stimulating to me to argue or have a discussion or a discourse or a debate about something. That said, being a Gemini, like I might sound emotional, but I'm not like that fired up inside like while I'm doing it. But like I've noticed that that's not the case for everyone. Like if you want to get into an argument or a debate with a person, like they can really, this is somebody who basically these two characters are walking away from this person because they're like, yeah, well, I'm right and I'm taking all the swords and all the ideas, and they're like, fine, just take the swords. I don't care, walk away. Like I don't care. I just don't want to play with you anymore. And so this is somebody who's winning, but they're winning because the other people just gave up. They don't care. With the Five of Swords reversed as our environment, there could be an aspect of really like unfairness to the game itself. And there could be an aspect of somebody going in and just stealing the swords and actually actively arguing, maybe saying harsh things behind somebody else's back, you know, like icky, ugly things. There could be an element of just chitter chatter. And like I said, with the Mars and Mercury together, I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of Five of Swords reverse energy is coming through in the sound waves, you know? What are our hopes and fears during this full moon eclipse in Taurus? Queen of Wands reversed. So the Queen of Wands upright is a really beautiful, creative, sexy, sensual, fiery, you know, if it is a zodiac sign, it could be a Leo, a Sagittarius, it could be an Aries. The North Node is actually in Aries right now, but this lunar eclipse in Taurus is very close to it, which is why it's considered an eclipse still. I will be able to give you more astrology knowledge pretty soon. I'm starting a course next month that's going to carry me through at least a year, if not like many more years of formal study, to where I can bullshit about this more legitly. Anyhow, Queen of Wands upright is somebody who's really in touch with her own feminine energy, her own creative energy, her own sexual energy. Here we have somebody that might be using her wiles or her sexuality as a way of manipulation. She might be using her feminine intuition to manipulate people and stuff like that. Like, as a hope or a fear, you know, there could be somebody in our lives, like sort of in the background, we could hope for or fear that this person enters into the conversation. We might hope for some of that sexy energy ourselves, but we need to keep our eyes peeled and make sure that this person isn't like narcissistic or just controlling or, you know. Upright, she's a really good mother figure, and she's very good at caring for herself and others, and especially beauty, and she's really in touch with her own intuition, her dream state, her ability to generate income too. But here, it's a more selfish energy. Let's see what the likely outcome is. Nine of Pentacles reversed. Nine of Pentacles upright. Hey! Who does she look like today? Yeah. Okay, so I wish. Nine of Pentacles is a great card of being wealthy, independent, being able to care for yourself, being able to do the luxury things, you know, the luxury Venus things. You know, this is a person who's worked hard and taken the time to earn her grapes, okay? And she has time to work on love and beauty. However, it doesn't matter if she has a partner that she's checking out in the background or many options. This person is fine just on her own, you know? And as a likely outcome with the Nine of Pentacles reversed, there might be some reworking to do before we feel comfortable. We might not feel comfortable alone at this time. We might feel really uncomfortable being alone now. You know, maybe she went from 10 of Pentacles and now she's 9 of Pentacles reversed, you know. Maybe she's spending more money than she wants to right now. Maybe we need to keep our eyes peeled for situations where our independence sort of cuts us off a little bit too far from the group. You know, it's great to be able to care for yourself, and it's great to be able to be an independent contractor, if you will, like in terms of metaphorically or, you know, physically. But sometimes with the Nine of Pentacles reversed, we have somebody who needs to be more open and available for partnership. This is somebody that doesn't really want to be alone either, you know, whereas this person's just fine being alone. And the people who are just fine being alone are the ones that make the best partners anyway. So if we have this as a likely outcome, there's some energy to be reworked here before we could enjoy the true luxury of actually feeling safe and secure, you know, on our own as an independent entity. So that can relate to, you know, love, business, any kind of choices that might have to be made between, say, like mid-October and mid-November. That's going to be the height of this sort of chaotic, like unstable energy. And then I'd say after like the first week of November going into like the 10th of 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th of November, it's going to start to become go time after that. But right now is not the time to like make any harsh, I mean, stuff will fall away, you know, because not everybody is following these videos and the weather and stuff. So there's a lot of people out there that will be saying harsh things and doing harsh things and hurting feelings and stuff, and that stuff is final. And when they come back around, if and when, you know, because some people never do. You know, so you and me, you know, we're trying to work on ourselves, right? And we're trying to be more aware of how we can, you know, sort of surf these waves as they come and try to have good listening ears and speak softly, you know. If you can, try to just lower your voice a little bit, try to be gentle, you know, because even if you are trying to be gentle and even if you do lower your voice, the energy, the weather is so conducive to these aggressions. Okay, so you know, you can soften yourself. And like I say, you know, do the sexy Scorpio things, get some exercise and try to get that energy out through your muscles and not necessarily through your mind and your mouth. Muscles, not mind, not mouth. This is going to be like one of the times I think I wouldn't generally recommend like anybody shutting their brain off, because we're dumb enough as it is. Like, does anybody really need to turn their brain off? But this would be a good time to just be dumb. Ignorance is bliss. Just be a dumb brute oaf and just do your exercises and eat sturdy, you know, comforting, nourishing food, and take in that solar energy. Get some sunshine as much as you can, you know, build up that vitamin D, because winter's coming, y'all. Love you. See you next moon, if not soon. Peace.